This week's edition of Church Media Design TV is sponsored by danzinkandtoner.com and the Gurus of Tech Conference. Welcome to another edition of Church Media Design TV, tips, tricks, and how-to for you, the church media designer. I'm your host, Brad Zimmerman, and I am here every week teaching you guys how to leverage media to increase God's kingdom. Now, joined with me, as always, it's the three wise men and Jesus. We have Little Whitey, which my nickname is Whitey, so he's the miniature version of me. And we have Colonel Sanders, the king of chicken, Dwight Schrute, who thinks bees are the answer, and of course, Jesus Christ, the Son of the Lord Most High. Now, the bobbleheads are here just hanging out as we continue working through how to use media and leverage it to increase God's kingdom. Now, we do this in a multitude of ways, from our presentation software to podcasts and mailing lists and the whole 9 yards. And today we're going to be talking about a little bit more in After Effects, and we're going to show you how to do some 3D planet effects. So if you guys want to make 3D planets, or you want to make a basketball or something like that in one of your videos, I want to help you guys understand how to use that and how to leverage the tools inside After Effects to make that happen. So, if the three wise men and Jesus are ready, let's get into it. Well, this is something old and something news, and I give you two stories that I found online and articles that I think might be of interest to you guys, and one of them's a little bit older and one of them's a little bit newer, and hopefully you guys will take away something from these, and I think these ones especially you guys will take something away from. I know one thing that a lot of churches struggle with is, teaching others about how to use media or how to train volunteers, and that's what these articles talk about. Now, our something old is from the Ballad of Mr. Fun, and this is from Reed Greven, who is the music director at North Point Church, where Andy Stanley is the pastor of, and so he deals with a lot of very large megachurch type issues, but he covers a lot of interesting things on his blog, and one was a email that he got, and it was worship time limit. Now, the worship time limit really is an interesting thing that he talks about his background, and basically the question is, I know you guys normally do 3 songs, but is there any kind of constraint on that? Recently, I was at a Catalyst One Day event, and Andy made a statement that we often make faulty assumptions when planning things, such as all Christians want to sing for 30 minutes. He said he personally is good with about 12 to 15 minutes. I'm kind of the same way. I love to worship, but sometimes going 20 or 30 minutes seems a bit long to me. It also seems to be kind of a struggle between the worship leader and the congregation. We're going to do this as long as it takes until you guys get into worship. Do you know what I mean? Now, I know I struggled with this with worship leaders I've worked with, and even as a worship leader, because I lead worship, and sometimes, I just really want to rock out on these songs and just feel them out and have a lot of fun, but sometimes the people that are sitting in your church aren't feeling the same way. And so he goes through a lot of his history and a lot of different questions and asks a lot of different great things. And I think this would be a great article for you to understand as a technical person, and also for your worship leader to understand from the other side of the story. And so this is something that I would love for you guys to take a look at as a church staff or as somebody who shows up to a church, because I think it could really impact what you're doing in your situation. Now, something new is another article that has to do with training, and this is 5 things I'd say to young sound engineers. Now, this is a 5-part series from ChurchTechArts.org, and the first one is funny, and it's very true. You don't know as much as you think you do. And there's just a lot of great wisdom in there, And I really want to encourage you guys to use this in your training of new sound guys, or even you as a sound guy, and maybe it's a little bit of a heart check for you. So both of these articles I think are great things that I really want to encourage you guys to check out. I'll have links on the website to both of these so you guys can read through them, and hopefully they'll help you guys, again, use media appropriately and to understand some of these things and kind of deal with some of these questions that we have in the church today. So check out churchtecharts.org and the Ballad of Mr. Fun. So a few months back, I was working on a freelance project for a convention that I'm doing some graphics for, and I made a video that was set in space because it had this whole space look to it. And this brought me to wanting to talk about this 3D globe sphere effect that you can find in After Effects. Now, I want you guys to check out the video just so you can see what my final product was, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be making today. So as you can see, that was kind of this spacey look, and at the end there you got brought up nice up close and personal to this planet, and you may recognize that planet from a freebie that I gave away a little while ago. Now, I really want to talk about how to make some of that stuff. There's that kind of gassy background and some stars and the planets there, and there's a lens flare in the sky and that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not going to go through the how to make that exactly, because I really don't want this show to end up being, here's how to make this one thing. I really want to teach you guys how to use these tools to make a lot of things. So we're going to be talking about the CC sphere effect and how to take this to the next level and be able to do a lot of different things with it. Now, this will be intermediate effect today. We're going to be talking through some expressions. Very, very simple. It's a lot of copy and paste. You don't really have to know exactly what it does. You just need to know where to put it and how to apply it. Now, I learned a lot of this from Dan Eberts at motionscript.com. I found this effect in his in the forums on Creative Cow, and he had this script in there. As well as if you go to videocopilot.net, he actually has a tutorial on 3D planets, and I've learned a few things from there, but a lot of the things I took and figured out myself the first time, and then he kind of expounded upon them. So if you want to know how to make a really nice looking Earth, you can go check out his tutorial, and he has a little bit more advanced, but we're not going to get into the look so much as how to use these effects today. So the first thing we're going to need to do is download some textures of Earth. Now, there's a lot of different sites on the web that you can get them from. I really like the Earth textures on a couple different sites here. There is a great texture of planet Earth here, and it's you can download that one, as well as there's some on this other site. I'll have the links to these. The cool thing is you can get like cloud maps. So there's a nice Earth cloud map and Earth regular color map here on this aurora.net. I don't even know how to say it. I'm not even going to try. Just go to the website and find it. So I've downloaded these. They're large maps. They're 2,500 or 25,000 by 1,200 maps, and I'm just going to drag this down into the new composition button, and we have our cloud map here, and then I'm going to just drag in our Earth map underneath. So first you can see we have our Earth map, and here's our cloud map. And the first thing we're going to need to do is set some transparencies here. So we're going to set our clouds into a screen mode, which basically means all of the black becomes transparent. If we would have done this in multiply, it's the exact opposite. You can't really see it, but all of the black is fully opaque. You can see it, and all of the white is transparent. We want to do the exact opposite, so we're going to do screen. So now you can see through to the Earth, and we have our clouds there. Now, we could go immediately turn this into our effect, but we want to have a little bit of movement in our cloud. So we're going to apply our first effect, which is the offset effect. So we're going to go up to effect, and we're going to go to distort, and we're going to go to offset. Now the offset effect basically takes your image and it offsets it, but it tiles it while it does it, which is really nice because you can see here this is a perfect looping image. So as I move it across the screen, you never see any tile points. So what we need to do again is do a little bit of math here. So we're going to set down a keyframe here at the beginning. Let's say we're going to go to 30 seconds, and we need to do this basically 3 times over. So we need to do 1250 times 3, which turns out to be 2750 if I'm correct. Let's see if my math is any good these days. And it doesn't seem that it is. We'll hit home and end, and we're shifting, so I'm not right here. So we have 2500. After some convening with Adam, I figured out it's 3,750 and not 2,750 like I had originally done. I missed a number there. I'm doing it in my head, people. This is where math comes into play. So you can see here we hit home and end, and we are jumping back and forth, and we're getting the exact same thing. So we have a nice cloud movement across. Well, looks kind of fake because everything is flat. So now let's make our final composition. So we'll do a new comp. We'll call this final comp. And we will make this 1280x720. We'll make this 30 frames and square pixels. One thing I'll just say real quickly, and Trent Armstrong led me onto this simple fact that I kind of realized, but a lot of people start making background loops or something along those lines, and they make it at like 2997 because that's the default frame rate for like NTSC video. Well, that has dropped frames in it. You really want to make it at an even frame rate, 15 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 90 frames. 30 frames is preferable, and you're going to have a lot easier time looping things. So now we can go into After Effects, and we have our final comp here, and we're going to drag down our Earth composition. I'm just going to scale this guy down a little bit here, and then we're going to go to Effect, and we're going to go to Simulation. We're going to go to Perspective, and we're going to go to CC Sphere. So now we have a sphere, and it's quite small, so I'm just going to take the radius up until we start getting it clipped at the edges. And you can see here, because we have such large images, I can scale this up to 100%, we get really good quality. Now, if we just let this sit here, we can see that we have our clouds rotating around, and this CC Sphere has a lot of different things. We can mess with the rotation, so we can rotate this around and look at the North Pole where Santa lives, and a lot of different things like that. But we're not going to mess with that. What we want to do is we want to be able to fly one of those 3D cameras around it. So what we'll do here is we'll do a right click, and we're going to do a new camera, and we're going to set it to 35 millimeter. We'll hit OK. And we'll tell this layer to be a 3D layer. We'll take our camera and we'll hit C to pull up the different camera tools, and I'll pull back and zoom in. Okay, that looks okay. Now I'm going to rotate around, and you can see we start to have some problems here because Earth is not flat. We learned that one decades ago. So I'm going to undo some of that and look at our problem here. Let's reset Earth here. Let's scale it down to maybe 50%. We're going to reset our camera by going in here and hitting reset. And again, if I pull up my rotation tool, you can see we're rotating, but we're not rotating around Earth. We're rotating around a flat Earth. So there's a problem there. This is where scripting comes into play. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our Earth, and we're going to grab our CC Sphere effect, and we're going to apply a expression to the rotation of Earth. So we're going to alt-click on X. Then I'm going to pull up my Notepad++ here, and I just have this expression, and I'll have this on the website for you guys to download. And we're going to copy and paste this into the field here. Now what this is saying is look at this composition.active camera, so the composition we're currently in, look at the active camera's position, comma position, and we want the first position, which is the X value, and that's why we applied it to the X rotation. Now look at is doing some 2D to 3D translations. Basically, that's all you need to know. So now we need to go to rotation Y. We're going to paste this in, and we're going to change that 1 or 0 to a 1 because, again, we're using a array, and so the array has 3 values, and arrays always start with a 0 position. So we have array 0, 1, 2, and 3 for X, Y, and Z. So now we did 1, which equals the Y position, and now we're going to do our Z. We'll paste this in, and this will be our 2, and that will be our Z. And now you can see it looks exactly the same, but now if I rotate around this Earth, you can kind of see it's looking right. But it looks a little wonky because we need to do something to our layer. We need to tell our layer to always look at the camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the layer, and we're going to go up to Layer, and we're going to go to Transform and Auto Orient. This will pull up a dialog, and we want to orient it towards the camera. So now when I rotate, my camera's actually rotating around the world even though it doesn't look like it is. Now an easy way for us to tell if it is or not, we're going to just throw in a random solid. I'm going to make this like red, and I'm going to pull it behind the Earth here. I'm going to make it 3D, and I'm just going to push it backwards in 3D space. And now if I hit my rotate tool, you can see that we are actually rotating around Earth. And we're rotating above and below, and great. So now we can take our camera and fly it around in this scene. But now we have a problem. What if I want my camera to, let's say, zoom in? So we're going to start way back here in space, and I'm going to zoom in. But as I'm zooming in, it's like rotating. The Earth is spinning because Earth does rotate. And we want it to spin. Well, I don't have any control over the values of these sliders anymore easily. And so what we need to do is add some control sliders. So we're going to make a new null object, which basically is a layer and an object on the screen that doesn't really exist. It's just kind of a holder. And we're going to call this, we're going to just hit enter, and we're going to call this control. And then what we're going to do is we're going to, on the control layer, we're going to right click, and we're going to go down to expression controls, and we're going to do a angle control because we're going to control the rotation. So we're going to say this is X, and then we'll just duplicate this and rename. We'll say this is Y, and this is Z. So now what we'll do is we're going to go into our expression here, and it's really easy. We're going to hit plus, and then we're going to take our pick whip. We're going to pick whip to this X rotation angle value. And now we just need to do the exact same thing here. So we'll click plus, and we'll go and do a Y angle rotation and Z plus, and we'll do our Z angle rotation. So now we have these rotation sliders, so now I can actually rotate the world, but it's rotating independent of the camera's rotation. The cool thing is we can maybe make the world look a little bit more like normal because the world's just a little cockeyed on an angle, so we'll do that, and then maybe we want to weigh a little bit closer on the northern hemisphere where we live or on the southern hemisphere. You can kind of get your shot set up a little bit better. So now when we go to our camera tool, we'll just do point of interest and position. We'll do a 2-second zoom in on this shot, and let's say we want to pull into right about here. But let's set some control rotation. So we're going to set our Y rotation. We're going to move down to 2 seconds, and then I'm just going to rotate this till I see the good old US of A where I'm from. And then I'm going to just mess with my Z rotation and bring that down into focus a little bit more. The other thing I can do is I can go back into this Earth Cloud Comp, and I can make sure that my offset effect is making it so I can see Michigan where I live. So I'm going to hit U and remove these keyframes here, but I'm going to go in and just move this slightly over until we get maybe a softer spot in our map. Let's see if there's any. let's keep going to right about here. So now we can see a little bit clearer, and maybe the clouds are moving a little too fast. So we'll copy that keyframe, paste it back here, and then just move back just slightly so it starts covered up. And then in the final comp, you can see we move forward and the world rotates and the clouds move, and then we end up in our final position. So that's kind of how to make and have some more control over your 3D planet and make it react to the camera. We actually could take our camera tool here and maybe rotate a little bit and position ourselves maybe a little bit further back. And then you'll see as we come in, we're going to rotate around, and it's doing all of our calculations correctly for us, and we're landing right where we want to land. So it's a really nice effect. Now, what if we want to take this effect and make something else? We don't want to make the Earth. Let's say we want to make a disco ball. This would be a really easy one. So we're going to duplicate our Earth clouds comp. We're going to duplicate it. We're going to rename it to disco. We're going to open this disco comp up, remove these two layers, make a new solid. We're going to make this a black solid. We're going to say make comp size, and we'll hit OK. So now we have this giant black solid. And then we're going to go in here and we're going to go to generate, and we're going to do a grid. So now we have this grid, and we can change the size of our grid. So we can take this corner and we're going to just scale these guys in until we get what we think looks like a nice sized grid for our disco ball. Now, it's kind of important to make sure the edges line up. We can take our border, maybe increase it just a little bit. And as you can see, we have this nice fine grid in here. So we can go out to our final comp, and let's just turn off our Earth. And we can take our disco ball in here and apply our perspective CC sphere, and we have our disco ball. But we have a problem. We can see inside of it. So all we need to do is go in here, duplicate our black solid, tell our bottom one to not have a grid on it, and now when we go to our final, we have a little disco ball. Now all you need to do is do some creative coloring to it by maybe making another new solid, and we'll make that black. And we're going to apply the ramp effect. So we're going to go to generate ramp, which, whoops, not grid. We want ramp. Generate ramp. And this basically all it's doing is, making a ramp, which is a gradient. And let's just do a 2-color gradient, and we'll go from like maybe kind of a cool blue to maybe a darker blue. And then we're going to go and set this to multiply, because this will only apply to the white in the scene. And then when we go to our final comp, we got this kind of cool colored disco ball. And we could maybe do a generate fill on our background color and fill this with maybe a bluish color, so that we have more of a colored disco ball. And then in the final, you can see we have that going on. Now you can mess around with these effects a lot more to get a lot of different things. The one last thing, we'll go back to our planet Earth, and I'm going to just show you real quickly how I got my clouds to look the way they did. All I did is fractal noise. So I'm going to do a new solid here. It's the comp size. We're going to go to noise and grain, and we're going to do fractal noise. And then what we're going to do is we're going to scale our fractal noise up. So we're going to do transform. We're going to do a uniform scale. We're going to scale it up so it's quite large. And then we're going to mess with our contrast settings so that we have a little bit more contrast. And then what we're going to do is we're going to apply a coloration effect. We're going to do color correction. No, we're going to do generate 4-color gradient. Now this 4-color gradient, you can see, is not doing this right because we're not in the right blending mode. But if we switch to multiply, now we are in the right blending mode, and now I can just change my colors, make them a little bit more subtle. And so maybe we want to do like a subtle blue, and maybe we want to make more of a subtle bluish green. And then down at the bottom, we want to do like a purpley color. Oh, let's do that. It's kind of a cool color. And then this blue, let's take way down and make a little darker. Now we can take this layer, throw it in the back, and we can maybe throw a glow on our globe. So we'll just do a generate or stylize glow, and we want to do this on top, no, behind, and we can do glow radius, and we want to do this based on our alpha channel. And so now we have this glow here. We can change the color maybe to like a bluish color, and now we have glowy earth. You can see how you can start adding a lot of these effects and getting a lot of cool different things. Now that glow probably wasn't amazing, but you can see how if you start messing with the glow radius, and maybe we, instead of, we do this on top, so it does it behind. Doesn't make any sense that behind is on top and on top is behind, but we can start messing around with it and get something that looks the way we want to. So again, it's not about getting our final look, because that's up to you. It's about learning how to use these tools. So hopefully you saw how expression controls can help you out and give you really good control over it, as well as how you can use some of these functions to make something greater than you thought. Now, one thing that I'm considering making is actually making a whole solar system. And there's actually a site that has all of the planets, different maps, and so you can make all of the planets in our solar system and set it up and fly your camera around, and it's fully 3D. One last thing, because I always remember one more thing that we can do. I'm going to duplicate this background. I'm going to get rid of our 4-color gradient. I'm going to take our fractal noise, and I'm going to take our contrast. I'm going to take it really high, and I'm going to take our transform and make it really small, maybe to about here, and maybe take our brightness and bring that down. And what we're going to start seeing here is that we start to get some stars. And so then we can just set this to a transfer mode of, you guessed it, screen mode. And now we have some stars going on in the background. So that's a really easy way to make a star field. And you actually can mess with the evolution settings, so you get a little bit of movement in the stars. Not that that's normal, but it adds a cool effect. So, said a lot. Hopefully that guys helped you guys out in making some cool effects and helped you understand how to make a CC sphere effect work with your 3D cameras in After Effects. Well, this week's freebie is another celestial loop. This is another loop including the planet Earth that hopefully you guys can use. It's a little offset, so you can set your text on the left side of the screen. I thought it would be great to have another planet loop that you guys could use if you don't have After Effects. So download this, go to the website ChurchMediaDesign.tv, download it in widescreen and in full screen, and hopefully it will be of great use to you guys, because as I have learned, and as you guys know, you can never have too many background loops at your disposal. So go download it today. It's a great freebie for you. Well, this week's inspiration comes from FontFeed, and they have a great video including some awesome 80s type animation, and it is really, really cool. Now, I will say I have no clue what they're saying in the song, so if it's dirty or wrong, I'm really sorry, but I couldn't understand half the lyrics anyway. I'm watching it for the type treatment because it is cool stuff. You see basically every 80s scene, from Reading Rainbow to 20th Century Fox to Cheers, but all done in this very 80s cosmic way, which happens to be my favorite new style. So check this video out, be inspired, and check out FontFeed for some other crazy font stuff.
It's always the same, storytelling when I can come in home. This is so dying. One more time, my ancestors, I swear I mean no offense, but you better learn to read it. It's all about me, yeah. For you know, ugly girls and boys, I put you on my list to make sure I just a nigga trill. And soon you say that you for a capital letter. more. Why are they shaking their bell? No need to test my name to figure out how cool I am. Can anyone read, anyone feel that I'm losing my patience? I just came here to bounce. Ladies out wax, they all know I'm coming. I'm losing my patience. I just came here to dance. Serial with 4 capital letters printed in gold, 'cause details make the girls sweat even more. Why are they shaking their belt? No need to ask my name to figure out who I am.
Well, we wanted to take a second to say thank you to one of our sponsors, which is danzinkandtoner.com. Now, if you haven't taken a chance to go over to danzinkandtoner.com and sign up and find out more about his service, you are wasting money, my friend. You should probably go over there and check it out, because whether you have 1 printer or 40 or even 3, you're going to save a lot of money by using Dan's Ink and Toner. Now, go over there, use the store sign up, enter your name, email, phone, and promo code, which is Church Media Design. Dan's going to give you a call and figure out what's right for your church. And I know that he's going to be able to save you money. Now, whether this is through a wholesale program where you just get wholesale ink and toner for a lot cheaper than you would get it at the store, or if this is through a leasing program or a full service program where you're going to get your ink and toner, you're going to get your repairs covered, or you're going to even lease a printer so that you get new every 5 years, and the new crappy printers that die after 5 years, well, you just get a new one when it dies on you, instead of having to spend thousands of dollars on a new printer that's not going to do you any sort of justice. So check out Dan's Ink and Toner, get yourself a good deal, sign up for the store, find the phone number in the bottom corner, give him a call. I know he's going to help you out. Now, our other sponsor is Gurus of Tech. Now, the Gurus of Tech conference is going on this summer, July 13th through the 15th. Myself, Barton Damer, the weekend lighting director from Willow Creek, and the guys from Church Tech Talk, a whole bunch of different people are going to be there talking about how to use media in your church. And I know it's going to be a great conference because, well, it's free. I really want to encourage you guys to check out gurusoftech.com/Louisville_event, and you're going to find out more information from there, as well as checking out this video.
Okay, so maybe you're the guy that your church looks to make videos for the weekend service, and you're knocking it out of the park, but you want to get better. Or maybe you are the guy who puts up the dynamic sound mix every weekend for the worship service. Or maybe you're the person who's over lighting. Or maybe it's the sweet graphics on the bulletins or the screens. Or maybe it's making stage design, but you don't have much of a budget. Or maybe you just get to design the creative moments where your people get to meet with God. Well, the chances are you're going it alone, because usually that's how us techies and creative people roll in the church. But we don't think it's right. We think we should be in community. And so that's what we're doing. We're bringing it all together at Gurus. On July 13th through the 15th, we're going to be meeting together in Louisville, Kentucky at Southeast Christian Church's new state-of-the-art facility called The Block. And it is going to be an awesome time where we bring together some of the greatest minds in the church world in lighting, sound, video, audio, creativity. Not just to teach, but also to learn, because we think you have something to offer too. It's a user group. So come meet with us. Coolest thing is it's free. I mean, seriously. Where else can you go to get this kind of cool community for free? Get inspired, get challenged, get knowledge, get community. Gurus.
Well, thanks for tuning in to another edition of Church Media Design TV. Well, this week is now over, because the episode is now done. But I want to encourage you guys to continue this conversation via a lot of different things. Twitter, You can hit me up at CMD.tv or hit up Adam at AdamCMD.tv. Also, you can go to the website ChurchMediaDesign.tv, leave a comment on the site. I reply to all of those comments that are left there, as well as to every email that's sent in. So send me an email, Brad at ChurchMediaDesign.tv. I'd love to help with any questions or comments that you may have, especially about today's tutorial. If you had any questions about that, or wanted to know if how to do something that you've seen in a video that I've done or something out there, shoot me a line and I'll help point you in the right direction. Also, you can find me on Facebook, just Brad Zimmerman, become a friend down there. And we have a fan page, but I don't honestly touch it, so become a fan just for the point of becoming a fan. But one thing I really want you to do is subscribe for the newsletter. The newsletter is a great thing to subscribe to. You can go to ChurchMediaDesign.tv/subscribe. You'll find out what episodes are coming up. You're going to get behind the scenes information about the new website, about future things with CMD, as well as you're going to get a freebie and maybe a little article about media in the church or how to do something real fast. So check out the newsletter. I would love to have you guys subscribe to that. So I think that's about all for this week. If you guys have any questions, make sure to drop me a line. If not, I'm Brad Zimmerman, and that's the Three Wise Men in Jesus, and we're saying, see you later.